So what makes 100% Islay so special to the distillery is that we do the whole process here on the farm where the distillery is located. So we grow the barley in the fields, and then we malt it here on the malt floor where we're standing at the moment, and then we distill it, mature it, and bottle it here all on site. And we're one of the only distilleries that does the whole process like that, and we're very proud of that because it's special, because we're looking after every process right the way through to you enjoying it when you raise a glass. And I think it's something, one of the main reasons to starting the distillery is that we could have a unique selling point, and 100% Islay embraces that completely. This year's release, the 10th edition that we've done on an annual basis, is older than previous releases and is 9 years of age. And for the second time, we've used a bit of Oloroso sherry cask maturation in the vatting. In the past, most of them have been 100% matured in first fill bourbon casks, but we have filled Oloroso sherry casks on an annual basis for the 100% Islay. And this year, you'll see from the colour that it has a little bit richer and darker, and there's a little bit more weight and body on the palate. Delighted with it. It's worked really well, and it still has all that sort of lovely, zesty vibrancy with a little bit of weight from the sherry cask that we've used. So the barley varieties we've used in this edition, the 10th edition, are now printed on the box and on the packaging. We used the varieties Optic and Publican. These were two varieties that were used throughout the industry really in those years, in 2009, 8 and 7. And we used them both, and I'm a great believer that barley varieties do play a part in the character of the spirit, and we've done a few experiments here, and I've been talking about how important and how different the barley varieties can be at the spirit stage. But I think it's important to also realise that once the spirit goes into cask and matures for 5, 10, 15 years, those differences narrow right down, and it's great to talk about it, but I think it's difficult to really start arguing that case once you have it in bottle. But we've done various experiments here over the last few years, and we've sown different varieties and then distilled them separately, and we'll release them separately. And it's all part of our program of experimentation. So the average ppm of our 100% Islay releases tends to be about 20 ppm and less, between 10 and 20. We don't try and get it to an exact amount, but it's around 20 parts per million of phenols. And we are starting to be able to experiment a little bit more with our peating levels of our 100% Islay barley, and that's because the new still house, which was completed about 14 months ago, allow us to distill completely separately, but also the guys are on site now 5 days a week, 24 hours, and it allows us therefore to do longer peatings. So we've already done an unpeated variety. For 2 months we did unpeated 100% Islay barley, and we'll look forward to seeing how that performs in a few years' time. And we're also going to do a longer peating, so maybe 48 hours or more, to see what we can do with that and how that influences the character of the 100% Islay release. So the tasting notes for the 10th edition 100% Islay, I mean, on the colour, I mean, it's beautifully rich in colour, and that's the influence from the sherry cask. And it just has a lovely light, vibrant citrus notes. It's always something that I get from this. And then on the back of the palate is the peat and smoke just come through, but on a very light basis. It doesn't have the same strength of peat as our other releases, and at 50%, it's great without water. So the harvest this year has been a bit disrupted by the weather, unfortunately. It was all looking great a few weeks ago. We've had pretty good weather actually throughout the summer. It was ripening really well, and we thought we could go to it reasonably earlier than we normally do. We actually started on Monday the 31st of August, but we only got 4 or 5 hours at the barley harvest, and I think we collected about 24 tonnes. but then the rain came and the weather's been very, very unsettled ever since. So it's looking a bit better for next week, and hopefully we can get back to it next week, because if we can't, then it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get it off in good quality and that we get the yields we're looking for. So at the moment the barley grains are looking really ripe and plump, but if this rain continues, then the quality will dip somewhat. Well, I've always been asked, have I driven the combine? I always tell everybody I'm going to drive the combine. Andrew manages to keep it quiet when he goes and does the harvest, but I've said it's a piece of cake. It's not as complicated as everyone makes out. It's just like mowing the lawn. Just drive it in a straight line, keep within the tram lines, and away you go. So hopefully I'll get a go at it next week when we get going, and that'll probably annoy Andrew.